Imagine walking into a foreign land, greeted by warm smiles, lavish feasts, and, wait for it, an invitation that would make anyone raise an eyebrow. Yes, in some places, hospitality doesn't just stop at a handshake or a meal. You might be offered something far more intimate. In today's video, we're diving into the fascinating and controversial world of wife lending, or partner sharing, where in certain cultures, guests are offered the host's spouse as a gesture of respect, honor, or alliance. You won't believe how this ancient tradition has survived in some parts of the world, and how it's evolved in others. We'll explore both present-day practices and historical accounts of this unique form of hospitality. So make sure to stick around, because toward the end, we'll reveal one place where this tradition has taken an unexpected modern twist. Could you guess where that is? Stay tuned to find out. Let's kick off this intriguing journey by talking about the places where forms of wife lending or partner sharing are still observed today, although perhaps in less overt forms. The goal here is to explore how deeply rooted hospitality customs can evolve, yet retain elements of their past. In Thailand, there exists a subculture where wives for rent isn't just a phrase, it's an actual practice. These are typically women in relationships with foreigners who agree to engage in short-term, paid companionship. While it's transactional and rooted in economic need more than hospitality, the idea of sharing one's wife or partner, albeit with consent, isn't entirely taboo. This is an evolution of the concept, framed around personal freedom and choice rather than ancient cultural norms. Statistics show that Thailand is home to over 35 million annual visitors. And while not all partake in this practice, it's undeniable that this form of hospitality has become a part of the tourist experience for some. What are your thoughts on this modern interpretation of sharing a spouse? Comment below. Among the Himba people of Namibia, a long-standing tradition known as Okujepisa Omukazendu still persists today. In this unique custom, a host may offer his wife to a visiting guest as a sign of friendship, trust, and hospitality. This practice is not random or done casually. It is deeply rooted in the community's strong sense of respect, honor, and the importance of social bonds. The Himba, being semi-nomadic pastoralists, rely heavily on communal ties, and sharing a spouse is seen as a way to honor a guest while reinforcing these essential social connections. Interestingly, in 2014, Kaziongere Chundo, a Himba politician representing the Democratic-Turnhali Alliance, DTA, proposed that the practice of Okujepisa Omukazendu should be legally recognized. Chundo suggested that formalizing this custom could potentially reduce incidents of domestic violence by fostering mutual respect and reducing tension in relationships. A 2020 study found that about 30% of Himba households in more isolated areas still practice some variation of this custom. It's a vivid reminder of how hospitality and the sharing of resources, including family members, remain an essential part of life in certain cultures. For outsiders, it can seem shocking, but for the Himba, it is an act of respect, trust, and community. Would you participate in this custom as a guest or a host? Let me know in the comments. In Siberia, among the Chukchi people, the tradition of wife lending is still reported, although it is becoming increasingly rare. Historically, offering a wife to a guest wasn't just about physical interaction, but was seen as a gesture of respect and trust. It was a way to form alliances and create lifelong bonds between men. In a region as harsh as Siberia, where survival can depend on the strength of communal ties, these practices were an integral part of society. Nowadays, while the tradition is fading, there are still isolated reports of wife lending in remote Chukchi villages. Next, we'll look at places where wife lending or sharing with strangers was historically part of the culture. These places may no longer actively practice it, but the stories are deeply etched in their cultural history. Let's travel to the Arctic regions, where the Inuit people once practiced wife sharing, although it was never purely sexual. This custom was tied to survival in one of the harshest environments on Earth. Sharing one's spouse with a guest helped foster strong alliances between families, ensuring mutual support in times of scarcity. A 1975 ethnographic study found that while this practice has largely disappeared, it was deeply embedded in Inuit social structures, reflecting how survival often required deep cooperation among groups. The harsh Arctic conditions meant that any advantage, including the strengthening of relationships through wife sharing, could be the difference between life and death. These bonds extended far beyond physical interactions, promoting strong networks that helped communities survive. During Genghis Khan's reign, it was said that Mongolian nomads practiced a form of wife-lending to esteemed guests. This practice was part of a larger tradition of hospitality aimed at fostering alliances between clans and tribes. A guest honored in such a way could never repay the kindness, ensuring long-term loyalty between families. Mongolia's vast and rugged landscapes meant that strong bonds between tribes were crucial for survival and dominance. Some historians argue that this practice contributed to Genghis Khan's empire building by promoting trust and camaraderie among the nomadic elite. Across parts of North America, early European explorers reported similar customs among some indigenous tribes. Among certain northern plains tribes, men were said to offer their wives to visitors as a gesture of respect and to strengthen communal bonds. This practice was linked to the culture's emphasis on sharing and hospitality, ensuring strong ties both within the tribe and with outsiders. While the accuracy of these reports can be debated, they reflect the importance of social cohesion in many Native American cultures. These practices often involved complex rules of hospitality, far beyond mere physical interaction. They served as acts of diplomacy and mutual respect, crucial for the survival of the tribe in a challenging environment. In the ancient traditions of some Bedouin tribes, hospitality was paramount, to the point where some reports suggest that hosts might offer their wife or daughters to guests. This was part of an extreme form of generosity and honor, where a guest was treated with the highest respect, sometimes even over the welfare of the host's own family. While these traditions have largely faded and transformed with time, they highlight the deep cultural importance of hospitality in the Arabian Peninsula. Bedouins lived in harsh desert environments where survival often depended on forming strong alliances through extreme gestures of respect. The practice has now evolved, with modern hospitality focusing on food and shelter, but the stories remain part of Bedouin folklore. In ancient Polynesian societies like Hawaii and Tahiti, guests of high status could sometimes be offered sexual hospitality. This wasn't about personal relationships, but a way to honor and elevate the status of the guest. It's reported that this practice was highly ritualized, with strict social rules governing who could participate. While these customs have faded in modern Polynesian cultures, the stories remain part of the oral histories, reflecting the complex interplay between hospitality, social structure, and sexual norms. In fact, a 2011 cultural study found that in some Polynesian myths, these rituals are still discussed as part of the society's legendary past. Now, let's talk about a surprising modern-day evolution of wife sharing that might blow your mind: the swinger community. In modern subcultures, particularly in Western countries, consensual non-monogamy and swinging have emerged as social practices. In these communities, it's common for couples to agree to temporarily share their spouse with others. While it's not rooted in the ancient traditions of hospitality, the idea of consensually sharing a partner carries echoes of past customs. A 2022 survey of Americans found that nearly 4% of adults identify as being in open relationships or practicing non-monogamy. Swinger communities hold events worldwide, where couples meet and consensually exchange partners. Unlike traditional customs, though, this is framed around personal freedom and mutual consent rather than a guest-host dynamic. Is this a modern evolution of ancient customs or something entirely new? Let me know what you think. So, there you have it, a journey through time and across cultures, exploring the surprising and often shocking practice of wife-lending and partner sharing. From the icy Arctic to the sun-drenched Polynesian islands, these customs reveal just how diverse hospitality can be. Some of these traditions have died out, while others have morphed into modern-day practices that might just surprise you. If you found this video interesting, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into strange and fascinating customs from around the world. And don't forget, we'll be covering even more jaw-dropping topics in our next video, so hit the notification bell and stay tuned. What did you find the most surprising in today's video? Let me know in the comments below. I can't wait to hear your thoughts.